Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning in to Life with Sweet Tea, where life is always sweet. Today I'm going to be making some pepper steak and gravy with rice using this brown gravy. This is the steak here, and then I have some onion and bell peppers. And so we're going to be going ahead and getting into the video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to see more posts. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off by rinsing off the steak. So here I am gonna open up the package, and as you can see, I almost hurt myself. Don't do this at home, kids. And now we're going to go ahead and take it out of the plastic, and I'm gonna go ahead and start rinsing it off so that it can be prepared to be seasoned and cut. Here is the part where I'm rinsing the vegetables, the bell pepper, and I'm also going to do the same with the onion. And I'm just doing this so that I could prepare them to be cut. I know y'all probably like, well, what was she doing right here? Well, right here, I was getting this knife that I didn't even need at this exact moment, but I really wanted to show y'all this knife. But don't worry about it because I'm going to use it in a few seconds when I start cutting the onion. But I really just want to show y'all this. And here is me using the knife. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, it had cut a little deeper than I expected it to, but regardless, it still got the job done. Now I'm about to get into cutting this bell pepper, green bell pepper, whatever you want to call it. I'm about to get into cutting this, and I really like how this one turned out. I think I kept that one and put it in there. But yeah, so I'm just cutting the pepper, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get into the onion as well. And y'all know this is like the most annoying part of cutting the bell pepper is the seeds that's inside of it. But I used to cut bell peppers a little different and like cut a hole in the top and like pull it out. But this was like a lot easier, so I did it this way. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start the process of cutting the green bell pepper, and I'm just gonna cut them into little like rectangles. I'm not gonna, do the most. So here I am beginning to cut them, And yeah. This onion was a little tiny bit harder to cut in the way that I wanted to do it. But first, I started by cutting off the sides or the ends, whatever you want to call it. And now, mind you, this onion is frozen. Shout out to my babies for putting the groceries away and putting the onions and bell peppers in the freezer like they see their mom do. But I did need this onion to be like in the fridge. So that was the result of that. It was just a little hard. And so I turned it to the side and just did it that way. Now I personally feel like this is enough onion, but of course add onion and pepper to your liking. You know how much you and your family eat. And I feel like this was enough for what I was making at the moment. So this is Now here I am going to begin chopping up the steak using this knife. I like this one a little bit better for the steak. It's just like a little bit more sharp and precise. So I'm going to be using this knife to go ahead and start cutting the steak. I tried to get it to where you guys could see my hands or like at least get a good view of what I was doing. But here I am just going ahead and start cutting the steak into like these little slices. And then I'm also going to cut some of the slices in half into smaller pieces. Here is where I begin to cut the slices in half to make them just a tad bit smaller for the meal that I'm trying to make. So this is the way that I proportion the steak, and now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and get into the seasoning part. So I used some steak seasoning along with the same seasonings I used in my first video. This one was new, and I just chose to use these are kind of like my go-to seasonings. So, and then I added that steak seasoning. So I'm just going to use all of these to season this steak, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the cooking process. So always remember, when seasoning, to season to your liking and your family's liking. For me, these are my go-to seasonings, and I try not to over season. I just be trying to give it a little flick of the wrist, you feel me? Not overdoing it. Also because we do have a low sodium diet member in the house, so I try to season lightly but still have that taste to it, you feel me? Also, yeah, like I said, season to your liking, and you can always add more seasoning to the dish as you go, or when it's on the plate if, you feel me, it's not enough seasoning. So, and as you can see, I did go ahead and add a little bit more steak seasoning to the steak, just because that was my preference. So always, you know, like I said, stick to your preferences. So we're going to go ahead and get into this gravy, and I just used this brown gravy by McCormick and the rest of this other brown gravy that I used in the last cooking with sweet tea video that I did. And now we're just going to shake it up like some Kool-Aid and then put it in the pot. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the rest of that other pack. As y'all can see, I went to go to the sink because I'm definitely filling those packs of gravy up with water. No measuring cup. We just gonna use the same amount of water as the same amount of gravy that was in the pack. Boom, pour it in there like that. And yeah, then I put another one in there. And most definitely, you gotta get it how you live. So as you can see, just mixing, a lot of mixing. Just keep doing that. And yeah, most definitely I spilled some a little bit. That's how hard I was mixing. Like I said, flick of the wrist, but don't worry about it, because I definitely came through with that sponge, about to almost knock the pot over. But most definitely remember to clean as you go when you're cooking. And then yeah, so we're just gonna let that sit, and I'm gonna go ahead and start getting into putting the rice in the pot in the back. So when you cooking, it's all about timing. You gotta, you feel me, figure out what's gonna be done first, how it's gonna work. And so now we're gonna start the rice, and I'm just using this cup. It's 16 ounces, so fill that bitch all the way up. If the recipe say 2 cups, you feel me, and so on and so forth. Now here I am just adding some butter to both the gravy and the rice, probably about 4 tablespoons. And I added that to both of the pots, and we just gonna let that do what it does. And now I'm going to add rice to this cup, and then I'm going to rinse the rice off. I actually recently just started rinsing my rice. I didn't really know that was a thing, and I really don't see what the difference is in rinsing it. I guess it's just like a cleanliness thing, but either way, so yeah, we're gonna fill it up halfway. It says 1 cup of rice, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to put it in the pot. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add those vegetables, just so you know it take a little while for the vegetables to especially when they're frozen, but it just takes a little while, and it adds to the flavor of the gravy. It gives it like that peppered, oniony taste. So you got to put that in there now, like before it starts getting thicker. So I've been warming up this pan, and now I'm going to go ahead and add some extra virgin olive oil, and then we're going to go ahead and add the steak to this pan. I most definitely got my hand popped when I did that. So now I'm going to go ahead and start adding the steak to the skillet. So we're just gonna go ahead and let these cook, and remember, you don't want to cook them all the way through because they're also going to cook in the gravy some more. So just get them to a decent amount of wellness, and then take them out and add them to the gravy. Okay guys, so now that these are cooked a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and take them out, and I'm going to leave the drippings in the pan so that I can also add them to the gravy. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and check on the rice, and it's looking good. I do believe I turned the eye down just a little bit after I checked it, and it was a good consistency. Again, everything is really more so about how you like it. Some people like dry rice, some people like rice that's like wet or a little mushy. It's up to you It depends on what you like. So now I am checking on the gravy and mixing it. I do believe I had this on low heat just while I was getting everything else done, because it does cook kind of fast. So here I am adding the drippings from the steak, and I also added some flour to this just to help thicken it. Not too much, just a little bit of flour to help thicken it. Even though the gravy is automatically gonna thicken on its own, I still wanted to add some flour to it. Here I am adding just a little bit of flour, like I said, to help thicken the gravy just a tad bit. Even though it's going to do that on its own automatically, I still just wanted to put a little bit of flour in it and a little bit more seasoning. As I said, remember to season as you go, or to your preference as you go. So here we go, mixing, more mixing. That's just what I'm going to be doing for like a few more seconds. So if you don't want to see mixing, then you might just want to fast forward a little bit. So pretty much here, guys, the gravy is boiling and it's getting a little bit thicker. So now I'm going to add the steak to it. And that's pretty much it right here. I'm just allowing everything to marinate together, doing some more mixing. Honestly, y'all, after all that mixing, that's pretty much it. I'll just go ahead and add the lid back to it, let it boil some. And that's it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the plating process. So I got my rice on my plate, y'all. Don't judge me, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I added some butter to it, just a little bit. And I did something that I always do. This is the only way I can eat my rice really is with sugar. It don't really matter like what the meal is. If it's white rice, I'm gonna add some sugar to it. Now I went to get the sugar right, and so as y'all can see, I probably did not need to add any sugar, because I'm telling y'all that I'm only adding a pinch or a little bit, and then that thing, it just completely came out crazy. So I probably didn't really need no sugar for this meal, which was so funny. I was laughing. But yeah, so this is it. And I'm gonna go ahead and start adding the pepper steak and rice. To the rice. And this is the finished result. I was having a hard time finding the onions. I don't know what happened, but I was looking for some onions and I didn't really see any. But this is just me putting it on the plate because I didn't get to show y'all that part on the first Cook with Sweet Tea video that I did. And I wanted to show you guys that process. So here I am still looking for some onions. Like, I don't know what happened to all of them, but then I added a little bit of gravy. As y'all can see, I feel like the gravy is like the perfect texture, like the perfect consistency. It's not too watery and it's not too super duper thick. And as you know, as it gets cold, as the meal cools down, the gravy is going to get thicker, but I wanted to eat mine hot. So this is kind of the end result. Well, this is the end result. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Life with Sweet Tea, where life is always sweet. This was another Cook with Sweet Tea video. Pepper steak with gravy and rice, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.